Welcome everyone to our latest Future of Food series. Today we are covering the influencer effect, turning a personal health journey into a movement. I'm Ashley at Bluestein Ventures. For those that don't know us, Bluestein is an early stage venture capital fund. We're based in Chicago and we invest in the future of food at the earliest stages. We invest across the supply chain of food, so we do anything from goods on the shelf, how goods get to the shelf, and how goods are made. I'm thrilled to have with me today Mila Magnani, who's the founder of Millimend. And Millimend is a groundbreaking new brand in the women's health space and one of our newest portfolio companies. So hormone health is a huge underserved issue within women's health. To give you a couple of stats, 80% of women experience hormone imbalances, and 70% of those with polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS, which we'll get into in a little bit, remain undiagnosed. So millions of women are left without help. And Mila was one of those women. Her journey is a testament to the power of personal experience and community-driven innovation. Mila is a health and wellness influencer and a women's health advocate, very importantly. She's built an impressive following of over 1 million across social media. And she healed her own PCOS symptoms through a natural food as medicine approach. And this approach to sharing her own struggles with PCOS resonated deeply with her audience, and she was able to create a community of women seeking empowerment in their own health journey. So she transformed her personal health challenges into a mission-driven brand, Meal Amend, which actually just launched mid-December, and it aims to simplify hormone care and demystify women's health through science-backed supplements. So Mila has this unique blend of personal experience and connection to her community that position Millimend at the forefront of this consumer-driven food as medicine movement that we are personally really excited about and investing behind at Bluestein. So Mila's story is not really only about creating a product, it's about fostering a community and empowering women to take control of their own hormonal health. So it's a great example of how individual empowerment can lead to an innovative solution in the food and supplement industry. So with that, I want to welcome Mila to share her insights on the intersection of personal health advocacy, community building, and brand creation in this really exciting women's health space. And as I mentioned before, but if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll leave some time at the end for Mila to answer your questions. But I want to start and have Mila share her own personal journey to optimal health. So Mila, let's just set the stage. Can you share your journey with polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS, and how it inspired you to take your health into your own hands? And if you could just define PCOS for us, since some of our audience might not be already aware of what that is.
First of all, thank you so much for such an incredible introduction. And thank you for everybody here who's made the time to listen. A topic that is so close to my heart. And absolutely, I mean, there's so many pieces to my story, particularly, I mean, PCOS, to give a definition. It's actually very interesting because though it stands for polycystic ovarian syndrome, it's an endocrine disorder that affects so many women today. And it particularly, I like to say it's more of a metabolic syndrome, and the typical symptoms that you see with PCOS may be um, a lot of facial hair, acne, irregular cycles, issues with insulin resistance. But there's also, I mean, those are the ones that we're used to hearing about. Same with also having cysts on our ovaries, but there's so much more to PCOS, like mental health issues, also brain fog, fatigue. And that's something that I struggled a lot in my entire journey. And it was also one of the reasons why it was so difficult for me to find my diagnosis as well.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you had a journey with personal health. And what were the biggest challenges you faced while kind of advocating yourself in the medical space? I know it wasn't easy to find that diagnosis and actually figure out what was wrong.
Absolutely. So, I mean, one of the biggest reasons why I had such a difficult journey trying to find my diagnosis was because I would get to my doctor's appointments, I would just be exhausted. I would have this chronic fatigue that was inexplicable. I would have this brain fog. And I'm also very young, you know. Tomorrow I turn 24. And for my doctors that were seeing a woman present with irregular cycles, they were like, okay, they're gonna regulate eventually. So I was put on birth control pills. And then I started to have facial hair, but I am from Mexico. So they're like, oh, it must be genetic. You know, we see it a lot. You might have it might just be a genetic thing, hereditary. So it was always brushed off. But in terms of my brain fog and my fatigue, they coined it as ADHD or a mental illness. So all of my life, I was very comfortable going to doctor's appointments. I always had symptoms. I was racking up a lot of health issues. And the day that everything clicked was when I saw my medicine cabinet and it was overflowing with prescription medications. And this is when I realized, oh my goodness, I have a gastroenterologist, I have an internist, I have an OBGYN, now I have a dermatologist, and I have all of these doctors. And I was like kind of put in this endless referral system that we usually find ourselves in the US. And I realized, but it's very interesting because I have a team of doctors and I just keep getting worse. So this is where I started to branch out, take a step back, and go into, more ancestral medicine that we're very used to in Mexico. I went to nutraceuticals where, to be completely honest, I didn't believe they worked. I believed in prescription medication. I believed in the care that I was receiving in the US. But the day that I saw my prescription cabinet, I mean my cabinet with all my prescriptions, and I just realized, wow, I've been in the care in the US and I've only gotten worse. And now I'm going to an endocrinologist and he's telling me, yeah, my wife has the same exact issues as you. I broke down crying and I realized, there's no way it's just me. It's not in my head. And luckily, during this time as well, I'm half French. And I was able to be seen by an endocrinologist here in Paris. And they have a different system of, I think something that really changed and was, I mean, the catalyst of how I was able to realize it wasn't all in my head was my female endocrinologist in Paris ordering a comprehensive blood work panel with all of my hormonal markers. And when I got that back, something that none of my doctors ever wanted to do, and I would fight them for it, but they would just immediately say no. Or if they would test me for my thyroid, they would only test me for one marker instead of at least 4 to 5 that are so important. When I got my results back, she was like, oh, you clearly have polycystic ovarian syndrome. And when I heard that, I'm like, that's a really ugly name. What is that? And I was super scared. But at the same time, I was so relieved because I found my diagnosis and I was like, okay, finally, like this search and this quest, like I finally got my diagnosis. I read it online. It's literally, I'm reading my life, but the care was still birth control, which I had been on all my life. And I went back to my endocrinologist. I tried metformin. It did not agree with my gut. And she told me, I'm so sorry, but it's either metformin, spironolactone, or birth control. And spironolactone as well, I had tried in the past. And again, the side effects were terrible for me. And this is where I realized there must be a better way. Um, I cannot go another decade of my life having no idea what my cycles are going to be like naturally. They were always synthetically induced. And I entered the world of nutraceuticals with an incredible compound pharmacist from Texas that my mother referred to me from Dallas with my endocrinologist, and it became a debate. And I would show them studies about inositol, studies of other ingredients, and I started to create, this incredible supplement stack. And it worked beautifully. It worked beautifully for me, and it set the stone for our blend today.
Yeah, I mean, it's underappreciated that our bodies are systems and it's not just point solutions. And I think most doctors, in the Western world aren't treating a whole body. And I think that's where this kind of personal advocacy and individual empowerment movement can be very powerful. But why did you decide to share your journey on social media? You've
Oh,
built this incredible following, right? Like you have 1 million followers over TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. How did this community develop, and why did you decide to kind of start sharing?
I mean, almost a million, not there yet. But it's been, let me be honest with you. I've been thinking about this interview for the past 2 weeks, and it's been the first thing I think about when I wake up because I'm such an introvert and I don't like to be on camera. I get panic attacks. When I start to pitching to investors, I would get full-blown panic attacks, and it's not my normal. But as well, I mean, I've always been very private on social media. In fact, everybody knows me as Mila, but my name is Camila. But I didn't want anybody to find me on social media. So that's like truly who I am. But I went back home after having reversed my PCOS with my supplement routine and my lifestyle and, everything that I did that brought me to where I am today. I thought my life was just going to get better. And I'm like, okay, great. The last few years of my life, I figured out what was wrong. I figured out what worked for me. Let me keep going. Let me go back to school. Let me do whatever is going to happen to me in the next chapter of life. But I went in for my wisdom teeth removal. I was at 0.005% chance that there would be a complication. And I got this massive infection in around my jaw. This put me in I like to say, a forced meditative state where I was unable to eat, I was unable to speak because the abscess that I had growing was external but also internal, and it was starting to bother my vocal cords, the nerves in my brain. I was having unbelievable migraines that I couldn't even sleep. So again, I was in the worst painful state of my life. But this is where I realized, at the end of the day, health is all we have. And I didn't know if I was gonna make it out of the hospital. I started to research and I got very scared. But I realized, if I'm gonna leave or if I'm gonna do anything with my life, I'm gonna tell my story, because even though my mom and my sister are perfect and they have like no health issues, and I've never met anybody with the same hormonal issues as me or close to me, I know there's another Mila out in the world that is probably dealing with what I used to deal with. So I'm going to make this video for her. And if it helps one woman, 10 women, that would be a dream. And my first video ever went viral. I told my story. I told everybody what I did. I shared every single piece for free because I believe knowledge is power. And I mean, it's all out there. I didn't pay to get this knowledge for my formula. I mean, I had the privilege of having my NYU student ID, so I could access all this research that usually you have to pay for. But I wanted to share it with the world because most of us, we don't even know where to start Googling. I mean, if you want to start really, compiling like a supplement routine, you have to do research and you have to have that time and that money to invest. And I knew that was a privilege I had that a lot of people didn't. So I started to share every piece of advice for free. And when I also shared my story and my symptoms, and I raised awareness on everything that I experienced, millions of women were saying, Mila, this is exactly my life. So out of desperation as well, they trusted what I put out online. I put all the research as well. And I told them always, disclaimer, ask your doctor before you ever purchase any supplement. But they did. And their experience was incredible. They came back to me and they said, Mila, this changed my life. I've been trying to conceive for months and I'm finally pregnant. Like, they could avoid IVF. Women with endometriosis messaged me crying and saying, Mila, for the first time, I don't have to reach for painkillers when I have my cycle. And this, for me, it was the best feeling, and it still is the best feeling to receive these messages. But the wildest thing was they all came back to me and they said, I trust you like nobody else. Can you please make it for me? And I was like, whoa, what is happening? And luckily, I don't believe in coincidence, but my partner, my fiance, he's one of the most incredible entrepreneurs I've ever met. He's brilliant. And he was a part of my story as well. He saw how so many doctors did not listen to me. If it wasn't for Lucas as well, my fiance, for being in some of my appointments, they wouldn't have ever listened or truly, given me the care that I deserved. So he knew how important his role was in my story. Very passionate to see everything. And he also realized, oh my God, like, there's so many women that need this. So he helped me, set the foundation, create Milamand, and later on fell in love with the process, and now he's truly my co-founder.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible organic story, and I think that's, what makes it so powerful and why it resonates with so many consumers, and followers of yours is they're also just searching for that same it's very much a pull, not a push, right? Um, but it's a good jumping off point to talk about the brand. So how did you go from kind of identifying your own needs, you had a supplement regime, and then you created this product that resonates with so many? What was that process like? Can you walk us through the process you went through?
Through, I mean, from
Yes,
recipe.
I know it was a long journey. Yes, to kind of have you had a what, a 15 stack supplement regime, and then you kind of combined that into one holy grail product. What is that, what was that process like? I know it
Oh,
wasn't easy.
it was not easy at all. And there's one thing that comes with, when you have so many eyes, there's an immense responsibility that comes as well. And I can't tell you how many times I was stressing out with the fact that like people were also listening to me. And even though I the science was there and I was following the guidance of doctors, I felt such a big responsibility to make sure I was taking care of my girls as well. So I went, I researched and I found the best formulators to help me make my PDF download safer and a better product for more women to try. So before, we had vitamin D that you could add in there because it's a PDF download. You can kind of add what you want, take out what you want, and I'm like, we started to just debate as well with our formulators, and we realized, vitamin D is actually better just as an oil. It's also the dose is very dependent on the season and on the person and the individual, so we took it out. And the amino acid blend as well, we wanted to make it perfection. So we really, really made the formula our priority. To date, I believe we are at our 54th iteration of our formula. It took us 54 tries to get it perfect with flavor as well. We didn't want it to have maltodextrin or any flavors that are, we tested everything like maniacs. And at the heart of it as well was having one of our the key people that helped us bring Milamen to where it is today is Brian Yam, which is our chief of regulatory and compliance as well, because the supplements, the supplement world is a wild west. We wanted to make sure we were going to be with the best manufacturers. We want to make sure that we're also compliant with the FTC and FDA, all these regulations. And that, it's easier said than done, but that took months trying to find the perfect manufacturer who was reliable, that had all the certifications, GMP, CMP, NSF certified. And that took a year to find all these key and right people, going to the manufacturing plants as well, seeing it with our own eyes. And then, of course, the brand identity, the designing of the packaging, that's another thing as well.
No, I mean, you have to start with the right foundation if you're going to build a long-lasting brand, and it's great that you were so thoughtful in building not only your community, but then translating that into your brand for the future. How
Absolutely.
have your followers influenced the development of your product, be it the supplement itself or the messaging or how it comes to life in other ways? How do you think about involving the community?
The communities are a superpower. And from the beginning, we've had this very unique approach to building the business because we build it for them. I have the most incredible boss, which is my girls. And I told them from the beginning, it's very funny because they asked me to make the product, and I've never really heard of anybody not having to entice someone like, hey, I want you to, buy something that I created. It was kind of, yeah, it was in the reverse. Um, but I told them, I'm going to need your help because this is the first time I don't know anything about supplements, like about how to make a supplement. I don't know what flavors you guys like. My community as well is quite international, so we know that like sweetness really depends on culture, which country you're in. And so from the beginning, we asked them, hey, here's a little poll. Would you guys like to take 5 to 6 capsules twice a day, or would you rather have a powder? They all went with a powder. So that's why our product is a powder. Same with the flavor. The majority chose mixed berry. And from even just, I mean, the formulation, there's girls that have PhDs and are in, I mean, all they study is nutrition and ingredients. And they literally told us, hey, you should add this ingredient because it is amazing. And they would send me all the research and like an incredible email for me to discuss it with my, my scientific team, my research team. So it's amazing. They've been part of the process from choosing how the product was going to be made, how it's going to taste, and what it's going to include. And even now we're taking a lot of, we ask them all the time, like, how is your shipping experience? We also have a focus group of 500 girls where I ask them, hey, can you please send me pictures of your refill pouch? You know, was there like a long lead time? How's your experience, etc. Like they're amazing. They communicate with us all the time. And they're also very vocal, which I love. They will tell us if they don't like something as well. So they just help us keep improving.
Yeah, they make you better. And what is that feedback cycle? Do you think of it kind of formally or informally? I know you kind of touched on a few strategies there, from polling the audience to creating a focus group. Like, how do you think of kind of leveraging your followers through a feedback cycle that makes you as a brand better and stronger over time?
Well, I mean, forming the focus group was quite simple because it was the first purchasers of our supplement. So, our first ones are always going to be super close to our heart. And I mean, we capped it at that number because if not, it gets a little bit too difficult. But we also have, I mean, the just leveraging social media and broadcast channels that you can have through Instagram, using all these tools to have a closer communication with your community. It's gold. It's gold. And at the end of the day, they're the ones who believe in your product. They're the ones that take it every single day, and they're always going to have, obviously, they're your best interest in mind and the best critique.
Yeah, and they're also gonna be with you. They're gonna understand, you know,
Oh
the
my goodness.
along the way, right? Like, you're sharing your journey with them, so they're more, open
Oh,
to, issues
yes.
and problems and challenges and wanna help you work through it.
I can't even begin to tell you like the amount of, like, I mean, being an entrepreneur, you're like always solving issues, right? And we're not even a year old. So as a small company, you're also bullied by bigger companies with your logistics partner, with whoever first shake hands with. You're not going to have the volume for them to prioritize you. So sometimes, in the beginning, I remember we had like a shipping issue where it was delayed by a little bit too many days, but I went on social media because we're incredibly transparent. It's another strength of ours. And I told them, hey guys, so this happened. There's an issue with this warehouse. I am so sorry. And I was expecting to have a lot of angry customers, but it was quite the opposite. They literally took time out of their day to send me letters. I mean, a very big paragraph saying, I'm so proud of you guys. You're gonna do great. Don't worry. Like I work at companies and what you guys are doing is amazing. This is normal. But like they're literally also there to console us if there's ever an issue. And they're just we have we have incredible girls in our community.
Yeah, I think that's just a great learning of, like, just be open and have key lines of communication, and your consumers will be understanding, and that's how you handle something, not what you do.
Of course.
How do you translate your community into sales, just to talk tactically? So I know your your largest following is on TikTok, but most of your sales are coming or have come through Instagram. How do you kind of think about translating community to revenue and product growth?
It's been I, you know, it's been very different for us. I don't have like a okay. The most straightforward answer is obviously the product works. And our community, as much as they also like they engage with us, the word of mouth is incredible. Like I believe our referral rate is pretty high. Lucas, is it 15%? I believe it's 15%, which is wild to me. So I always get messages from other women saying, hey, my friend told me to follow you. How can I access your product as well? So word of mouth goes a very long way. And we also, I mean, again, we share reviews, we share testimonials, and we like to quietly sell. You know, we just talk about the benefits of our product. We like to talk about the fact that we are making something incredibly comprehensive at the most cost-effective price that we can get it at. And that's something that they love. Um, but I think Lucas would also love to jump in and answer this question.
We have a surprise guest with us.
Again. Well,
Hi,
thank you for including me
my
as well.
co-founder.
I'm very happy to be able to jump here and provide a little bit more insights on the business side
And on
of
the
things
sales.
and on the sales. So kind of like to touch point on your question, Ashley. You asked, okay, so how does this community translate into sales? And it's been a really interesting learning curve from soft launching domestically only in the United States to evolving now into delivering product in over 80 countries. And through that process, we've learned a lot about different buying patterns that the different markets have. And we've come to realize that certain markets are more price sensitive due to duties, taxes, and shipping costs. And we're actively working to reduce those costs for Milamen to absorb as much as possible of these costs to continue to make the product as accessible as possible and working towards price matching what we're able to deliver the product for in the United States domestically for $62 a month on the subscription. Naturally, one thing that I really do credit Mila for is her staying really true to herself. And when we went into this adventure of wanting to create Milamend, was with the sole and single goal to be the first and only global women's health supplement brand that is focused on hormone care. And we've stick to that and we'll continue sticking to that to provide the best possible product to support hormone balance at all women's health stages. And I believe that if we keep on having this focus, we'll be able to continue to grow organically. Naturally, we're starting to get more granular with our marketing efforts. Our goal will always to be to provide the best possible customer experience because I believe that it starts with that. And once you've had that part figured out, you can start to think about, okay, how do I acquire additional customers? So there's multiple initiatives that we're currently working towards and
Right.
we're very excited about this coming year.
But I think I forgot one thing that I think is like also very important to who we are and why so many, I mean, when we first launched, people called it a sneaker drop of supplements because we would sell out in 30 seconds and in a minute. And we just kept on selling out to the, I mean, we never had any stock for the longest time because we still today we have that PDF download available. So if you want to, you can literally just buy the ingredients, try it out yourself at home. And if you do enjoy it, well, we make it all in one for like a fraction of the price of what it costs to get all those individual ingredients. And people are able to, you know, try it out before they invest in us. And that's also been something that has helped us tremendously. So, of course, when we first dropped, we sold out from women that were already actively taking our formulation, our PDF download at home. And that really helped us.
I think that's been key to kind of building that trust and authenticity with your community, not only your story, but just having that out there as free information. You're not, I think your followers know that you're not building this brand just to, capitalize on the audience. You're really thinking about, okay, how do I build you a better product? And if you don't want my product, that's fine. Just take my regime. And that's great too. How do you think about, just so we could touch on a little bit of the kind of, I know probably those in our audience really care about social media and community and how you build a community driven brand. How do you think about the different kind of channels? So you've got TikTok, you've got Instagram, you've got YouTube. Do you think of them as kind of different communities on each of those channels? And how do you really think of your audience in different across social media?
Great question. So that is a headache because algorithms are consistently changing. But I've always found that Instagram is probably the most reliable in terms of being close to your community. You know, if your community follows you, they're going to see your posts, they're going to see your stories, they're going to engage with you. You can have a broadcast channel And you know, the DM features, it's so clean, it's so organized that it's really it's for me, it's my favorite. And the conversion from Instagram is unbelievable as well. Now TikTok, you I mean, right now it's controversial. It was just banned. It really serves us a lot of good for our international audience, our Gen Z audience, hopping in on trends, showing a lot of the brand personality. That's really effective on TikTok. So if your brand has a great personality, it is an incredible platform to explode. I mean, it's what gave us such an incredible virality in the beginning. But the problem I have with TikTok is that most of the people that I follow, the moment I follow them, I don't really see their content again. You know, you're always in the For You page, the algorithm might change. You might not see the people that you want to engage with unless you really search for them. So I have followers of mine that say, "Oh my God, Mila, thank God you popped up on my page. I haven't seen you in months." And I'm like, "What? A good thing." That's not
Yeah.
so that's one thing that I'm not a fan of. I know TikTok Shop, be we're gonna start TikTok Shop in March. So I'm excited to see how that changes. I don't know if the platform, you know, gives you a priority when you're also using all their tools. I know they love that. And lastly, YouTube. YouTube is so dear to my heart because you get to spend a lot of time with your audience as well. So your ultra fans or the people that really love what you stand for, they're going to watch those 10 minutes, 15, 30-minute videos of you just expressing your passion or talking about what you're doing. And I mean, that's the community that is there for you in the long run. And it's one that I really, really want to tap into this year. So yeah. Do you have any
Oh,
I, I think you said it absolutely perfectly.
Thank you.
From a business side, the the beautiful thing about Meta is that specifically for Instagram, Meta enables very deep integration with third-party tools,
Mhm.
which enable you to get very granular with the way you communicate, even on private with customers or leads or prospects. You're able to have different types of interactions from quizzes to requesting direct opt-ins via Instagram DMs, something that you can't really do with TikTok because they have a more closed off system. So the fact that Meta just enables these deep integrations makes it so that the opportunities get more creative, virtually endless, and um, ultimately you're able to put your brand forward into customers that are more likely to be interested in your brand versus TikTok.
In an easier way as well. You know, they can stay in the app, and that's key as well.
yeah. I mean, all these tools are quite powerful. And I know you guys have been experimenting, so it'll be a great year of learning in 2025. I want to talk. I know we're getting short on time, and I could talk to you guys for hours, but I want to talk a little bit about individual empowerment. So there's this huge and growing trend within health, and that's super exciting. And I think, Mila, you're a great expression of what's happening within the space. You know, if we think about in the past, consumers getting their health advice from their doctors or their family, or just trusting what large companies like food or pharma are marketing to them. And now people are taking more ownership over their own health and becoming their own health advocates. How do you see more broadly the role of consumers shifting in healthcare and advocating for their own needs? And then do you see your brand as part of a larger movement within that space?
Absolutely. I think it's finally, finally it has arrived. I'm so happy that, you know, PCOS is now trending. I know there's even articles going out right now saying like, oh wow, suddenly like there's women are catching PCOS like the flu. And it's ridiculous because you get people that criticize it, but then it's like, no, 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 no. Like so many of us suffer with this, and we've always been told that I mean, like my endocrinologist told me, my wife has the same issue, stop complaining.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy that, you know, I mean, I have to give it to TikTok because it has led a revolution in women raising awareness on these issues and on the fact that we are not listened to at doctor's appointments. I mean, you were there.
Absolutely.
You were there. The moment Lucas stepped into my appointment and he spoke up for me, he's like, "Are you kidding?" So my girlfriend at the time has all of these issues, and you're telling her that she's fine and to just keep on being on birth control. The moment he spoke up, I got a very comprehensive lab work paper to go get
Mhm.
tested. So I'm very happy about the fact that we're all raising awareness and that there's solutions coming up about like our supplement. I know that there's now more iterations as well of like inositol based supplements as well for even more niche issues. Do you have anything else to say or?
I completely, well, I think that we in the past we've reached a point of saturation where people are not getting the answers that, or at least the benefits of seeing a traditional doctor, and so naturally this has prompted a shift
Mhm.
onto social media platform. Now it's a blessing and a curse, right? Because you have some schools that say, well, you should not be self-diagnosing yourself uh, through social media, but at the same time it's helping. Imagine um, a certain, somebody in their mid 20s that has not been feeling at her best for now a little bit over 5 years. And for the first time, she sees a video and she resonates fully with that person and is like, wow, this is exactly how I feel. And this person is openly talking about her health concerns. This might be something that I have, but I've been putting it off for such a long time that I've accepted my new normal. Let me take this to my doctor and let's see if, by explaining my symptoms maybe in a different way, like doctor will be willing to listen a little bit better. And I think it's led to a lot of people being diagnosed for certain conditions.
Mhm.
At the same time, we also have AI coming in and bringing that boost with, literally people getting diagnoses and getting things
On
discovered
ChatGPT.
thanks to um, amazing AI tools. So I believe that it's prompting a revolution. Milamen wants to be at the forefront of that revolution and continue to push people to take ownership of their health through the amazing educational platform that Mila has been able to build.
Yeah, I mean, I always say that the internet is neutral. It's good and bad. It has kind of really great positives in arming you with information. It also has negatives, and we have to just take the good with the bad. But I think we're also underestimating that doctors are learning information themselves from social media, right? Like they're able to educate themselves, and maybe they don't know the answer to PCOS, and they didn't know about a nutraceutical approach, and they didn't know about Milliman, but now they also have the tools to educate themselves and have more information. So I think you guys are, oh, Lucas, looks like you were about to say something.
I also hope that their egos won't stand in the way and they'll be able to openly say,
Right.
I actually learned something that I did not necessarily learn in school.
Yeah.
And now I can actually provide a solution that works to my patients that don't necessarily want a metformin or spironolactone or birth control.
Yeah.
So I believe that there's good and bad, absolutely, like you said.
Yeah. Are there other brands or people you admire that you believe are shifting healthcare toward one of individual empowerment?
For me, on the top of my head, I absolutely love Function of Health and Alara Health, obviously for all the women that have hormonal imbalances. Um, it's about time that we can ask our doctors to give us comprehensive markers on our blood work. It's about time that people, I mean, that doctors just have a root-based approach to medicine. You know, it's not always a five. I mean, I always, when I saw my doctor, it was a 5-minute appointment, and it was on to the next. I never really got anywhere. It wasn't. I mean, my blood work again, it was just the minimum, and I'm glad that these companies are showing people that no, you actually there's more, there's much more to this, and we do deserve to have a very comprehensive look into how our body is doing.
And at the root causes. I
Yeah, the
completely
root
agree.
causes.
What do you see as the future of the influencer economy? You're at the forefront. So how do you think the space is going to develop over the next 5 years?
It's
A great
it's a
question.
good question. I mean, I think that Mila is at the forefront, but in a very particular way because it was not a product that she was like, well, okay, I think that this might make sense and let me make a quick buck. No, Mila is moved by a personal mission to change the way we approach hormone care
Mhm.
and has put her heart and soul into assembling the best in class minds to bring a product that actually works. I think that we're going to keep on seeing a rising trend of certain people that have created communities that out of that through education and sharing their personal stories, they're going to come out with products that make sense, but we're also going to see a rise in the flip side. Influencers that see an opportunity to simply make a quick buck out of their audiences, and not to drop any names here, but a lot of influencers are coming out with products that don't make any sense for what they've stood or been doing for the longest time, right? We see a rise in the category of hydration drinks and
Gummies.
Weight loss, yeah.
supplement,
Exactly.
GLP molecule supplements. And just to say, it's definitely a category that's going to keep on growing, but at the same time, I believe that the rare pearls like Mila
Stop.
are going to always stand out because authenticity is something that you cannot buy or you cannot replicate.
And it's something that unfortunately I find a lot of people when I say I'm not an influencer, no, I'm not an influencer, because the typical influencer, like it's a new job, like 100% that's how people are making their living, and it's totally fine, but they're making their living out of brand deals. And I think I only accepted one brand deal so far in my entire time on social media, because it was a lipstick that I like use every day. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And it's not really like, it's not harmful. It's like $10. But I distanced myself from brand deals because I never wanted my audience to think that I was in it for the money as well. And I never was. So authenticity, I hope that there's more authentic influencers that come into light, or if they do release a product, that it makes sense, that the ingredients are great, they have a great team, that they take the approach that we did, which is, we have this responsibility now. Let's get the best people to make the product as safe as possible, and let's make sure that we build a business in an impeccable way, that we're also complying with every regulation and every standard, and we're going above and beyond. So I truly hope that there's more of that. But like Lucas said, I've been approached hundreds of times by companies that white label supplements, and they're like, hey Mila, we love your your community, here's a great opportunity to white label your own line of supplements. And I'm like, first of all, whoa, red flag.
Mhm.
I mean, they include in the email, you don't have to do anything. So that's scary.
What's your vision for Millimend? Last kind of meaty question.
I have to
At
get
time, so we gotta just
nobody answers this more beautifully than Lucas.
Well, again, I'll say this, and it's very simple. Our mission is to be the first and only global women's health supplement brand with a focus on hormone care. We'll never lose sight on hormone care. We'll continue to push the boundaries with our first clinical trial this year. As we continue to grow, our goal will be to conduct clinical trials and validate the efficacy of nutraceuticals and their impact on hormone care on different demographics and internationally as well. And we'll continue to do so until we feel very confident that we're at a good point and people can access the product in the most convenient way. They have the best possible customer experience, and the product continues to evolve as research comes out and new ingredients become available.
Right. And it's a big responsibility as well, because we do have the blessing to have an amazing international audience. So the fact that we can make a global impact is a privilege, and we're not taking that lightly. It is what we do every single day. We work every single day of the week, Saturday, Sunday, and we do it with such happiness and pride, and we absolutely adore it. So that's our goal, to master Millimend, I mean our hormone blend. And once we master that, after many trials and more iterations, maybe something else can happen. Maybe a new product. I don't know.
all plans here. Okay, so we always finish, and then I'll get to one or two questions with rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you a couple of rapid fire questions. One is, what's the most unexpected DM direct message you've ever received, or most random?
What is the most, sorry, the
Random, unexpected DM you've received on like a social media platform?
Woo! Good or bad?
Anything.
The most unexpected, a sonogram of a baby. Saying,
Oh,
like, thank you, with a little sonogram. For me, I mean, stopped me in my tracks, I cried. That's my
Oh.
sonogram.
that was a good answer. What's the wildest thing you've ever seen someone try to do to cure PCOS?
I mean, you can't cure PCOS,
Well,
but
you know,
I know. but definitely, oh, water fasting. It's like 101 of how to make it worse.
Last rapid fire. What's your guilty pleasure snack that totally doesn't fit with your kind of health influencer vibe?
Croissant. I'm embarrassed.
Good answer.
Every pastry here. I love them. I still have them.
Okay, we have one question from Grace. With a science-backed supplement, how do you plan to expand? Are there other hormone imbalances or health conditions you want to focus on in the future?
Absolutely. And this is something that we're learning again from our community. You know, our formula was completely studied, and I mean, we use all the studies for PCOS specifically, but we're learning every single day how it's helping women with endometriosis, with women that are in menopause as well. And that's something that we will want to see how it goes with our clinical trials as well. So we'll broaden it eventually as well. But right now we're very focused on PCOS.
Correct, on PCOS specifically, but the product, I do want to remind that is designed to optimize hormonal balance. So even if you don't have PCOS, which, fun fact, a little bit over 72% of our current customers do not have PCOS.
Undiagnosed.
It also goes hand in hand with your opening statement that it's heavily undiagnosed, but it is to support holistically optimal hormonal balance. So we'll continue to focus on upgrading essentially the current existing formula, as well as looking to introduce new SKUs to tackle specific endocrine disorders starting next year.
And last question, where did the name Millamend come from?
Oh, I love this question. So, Mila, I always love that name because in Spanish, it's the beginning of milagro, which is miracle. And mend is, mendar, to heal, to take care of. So it was like a little miracle mend. And I thought it was very fitting.
That is a beautiful, beautiful way to end. So thank you so much to both of you for joining us. What an incredible journey. And we are so grateful to be on it with you. And thank you to our audience for listening in and hearing Mila's story and how Mila and Lucas are building an incredible brand within the hormonal healthcare space.
Thank you very much, Ashley. We
Thank you to
couldn't be
everyone.
happier to have the best team to support us.
Absolutely.
Thank you both. And if you guys have any questions, reach out to Mila and Lucas and Millamend on social media.
Yes, please.